The fantastical world, a hero and their party, swordsmen, magicians, celebrations, mourning, death, rebirth, with the overarching goal to save the world. Whether this be from a demon lord, dragon god, or to retrieve a sacred item, all these things are synonymous and paramount to a good fantasy anime or series in general. These stories use their otherworldly charm to hook the viewer in, transporting them into a time that stands on another plane of existence from real life. The inhabitants of such worlds include many creatures, humanoid and otherwise, including dragons, centaurs, goblins, demons, and more. This style of storytelling is how the majority of the fantasy genre chooses to portray and illustrate their characters and stories, and is often executed to great effect. However, there's one show that chooses to deviate from the norm, resulting in something very special. 2023 was a year filled with thrilling action, carefully created stories, emotional beats that touched its viewers, as well as the ending of arguably the greatest piece of media to release this decade. Yes, it's Attack on Titan. Once in a blue moon, are fans of any film and TV medium allowed the privilege to bear witness to a story that truly manages to explore its characters and narrative in a way that separates it from the masses. Frieren Beyond Journey's End is a tale unlike any others. Yes, there's a party of heroes, there's a demon lord, and a grand battle takes place between the two, with the heroes prevailing and having their stories told for generations. However, Frieren Beyond Journey's End takes place following the events, opting to follow our protagonist, an elf, Frieren, through her life following this adventure. A mere 10 years is all Frieren saw when she looked back on her time with the heroes' party, but she was so very wrong. Frieren Beyond Journey's End is thematically beautiful, and although simple, it manages to include depth that is downright amazing. Time is obviously the centerpiece for the anime, with the time after the hero's death being shown often to notify the viewers of how long's actually passed. Frieren is very old compared to humans, and often doesn't understand that finite life can be beautiful and priceless. The way in which this show explores time is so different from every other piece of media I've seen. The insignificance of time for Frieren is highlighted in the first episode when we see 50 years flash by in mere seconds of screen time, leaving the viewer astonished when we meet him following these 50 years. Although this might feel rushed in other works, this is exactly what the mangaka intended for it to feel like. The passage of time does not care about the finiteness of life, it simply keeps moving forward, and for some beings 50 years really is just a few seconds. Frieren begins learning what it means to care and enjoy the time spent with someone, no matter how fleeting a feeling it may be. She doesn't understand human emotions, having had no previous relations apart from her master, Flamme. However, upon viewing the burial ceremony of Himmel, is confronted with feelings she does not understand, monologuing that it was only a mere 10 years and asking why.
なんでもっと知ろうと思わなかったんだろう。
This anime portrays that the brutality of time is what it means to be a living organism so insignificant relative to the world around you, that no matter what you do, new generations will forget you, stories buried deep into the past. Even today, in the real world, this is an issue that many find themselves faced with. Will anyone remember me? And if they don't, what's the point in working to achieve anything? This anime, although at first highlighting how sad it might be, this feeling is not mutually exclusive from feelings of joy during one's lifetime. Frieren as a character is used as a vessel for the mangaka to express how it is possible to learn to appreciate small things in life, that no matter how short, it is important to relish in the details of life and enjoy them to the fullest, even if you know that the end is sad. Time is not the enemy. Time can be used to rekindle once forgotten memories, to make new memories, and to enjoy the present. This anime works so hard to bring forth a new perspective on life, one that is so impactful and beautiful to watch unfold, seeing a likeable, cute, yet clumsy character learn about life much like its viewers are. Almost anyone watching this show can take away this message, to learn to live in the moment and cherish those around us, irrespective of what the future might hold. Similarly, this makes us as the viewer partake in the journey, with one key takeaway being prominent throughout the whole series so far, that the connections we make will always be what is most important. Without plagiarising Gigok too much, as I know he recently touched on a similar topic at the time of writing this, it really does force you to become introspective and realise what is truly important to you. What's truly important is relationships. Mostly, when we as humans come to the end of our lives, we remember our relationships. Though it might not be black or white, rarely will we remember things that we achieved in isolation, or experiences of the same tone. Shared experiences, conversations, and deeds that receive gratitude from others will always persevere. The deeper connections that we form with other living creatures will always serve as the centerpiece of our existence, even beyond death, highlighted via Frieren and her comrades, both past and present. One of the key components to why this anime feels so complete and pieced together unlike many other pieces of fiction is that most episodes use some sort of flashback to explain why characters think a certain way, act a certain way, or make certain decisions. Whilst many anime are faced with an overuse stigma when it comes to using this many flashbacks, Frieren does it differently. Small hints are placed throughout the episode, hinting that characters might feel a certain way due to past experiences, or that things might not be as they appear. Other works of media may choose to exposition the characters' feelings or actions through dialogue, almost spoon-feeding the audience, but Frieren does it much more realistically, almost how it would come about in real-life situations, or how you would expect characters who are truly alive to behave, cultivating the world and character relations with much more depth than any other show. One of the first and most impactful flashbacks we see in Frieren is part of the reason why she began to love collecting new spells. Frieren ponders why she loves magic so much, with the answer being shown in a flashback. Producing a field of flowers with her spell, her companions are in awe, with Aizen and Haita, the party's warrior and priest, frolicking in the field, laughing ecstatically. Himmel appears then, placing a wreath on her head, smiling. Although appearing nonchalant, Frieren's slightly taken aback at her companion's wholesome smiles and enjoyment of her company and ability. Himmel explains he loves a flower that blooms in his hometown, the blue moon weed, and that he would love to take Frieren there with him to see them. At this point, Frieren appears aloof and non-committal to the thought, but as we jump back to the present day, she has spent so long searching, and upon finally finding the blue moon weed, expressing how happy she is, both in body language and speech, to have finally found the beautiful flower they once spoke of. Although this is a somewhat minor event, with no apparent major implications in the plot, the weight of this scene can be felt, and the notion of time passing yet connections remaining even after death continues to be a major theme, even 24 episodes into the anime. Flashbacks harbouring emotional weight continue with Stark's birthday. A portion of the episode shows how Stark feels like a failure, a coward that ran away and left his family to die. Fern wants to get Stark a present, but Stark's confused and says he's never received one before, or so it would seem. Throughout the episode, we're shown Frieren making a special dinner, a massive hamburg steak, one is customary among the dwarves in Stark's hometown, given to warriors who have worked hard on their birthday. In other words, a present. This could have very easily been shown to us through dialogue between Frieren and Stark, but it's shown through a flashback, and we can see the moment Stark realizes what it truly meant to receive such a gift on his birthday, that both his master and his brother thought he was worthy. He was a warrior who had worked hard and was worthy of praise. Had this been done just through dialogue, the emotional weight of the scene would have likely been much less and impacted far less people. Now, these scenes are done beautifully and long analysis could be done on all of them, but I don't want to dwell on the topic too much longer. But there is one more flashback I think needs to be spoken about, one where it's not so much emotional, but where the flashback's once again intertwined with the current events and is used to display a feat of power without straight up telling the audience. Now, Stark against the Solid Dragon, a foe he is terrified to face due to his own cowardice. I'll keep it short, but there's something so special about how this interaction's handled, with past dialogue and events being slowly fed to the viewer until the climax of the fight comes about, a flashback of Aizen claiming that his student would become an incredible warrior despite his lack of self-confidence. I'm not entirely well versed on how to explain why or how this scene works so well, but from a general audience's point of view, there's something so special about the scene composition, the music, and the use of flashbacks all culminating into something amazing.
こいつはすごいことだ。俺の弟子はとんでもない戦士になる。
Alright, so I really wanted to put some cool cinematic thing of the scene here, but it wasn't possible because I got copyrighted directly when I tried to do it. So this is the scene in the background. Obviously, you can't get the full scope of what's actually happening, but something about the way they've put together the audio, the composition, and how much animation just went into this one scene was just beautiful. And obviously you could see the part with the flashback just before. Mwah, chef's kiss. Anyway, back to the rest of the video. Although Frieren isn't without its anime tropes, as yes, it is an anime, many of the overplayed and annoying ones have just straight up been removed. Although at first, Stark might appear to be your typical scared anime character with no motive to do anything, as us the audience are quickly shown some character development, showing the amount of depth the writer can weave into a character in such a short amount of time. Comparing this to another popular anime like Demon Slayer, where we have 3 seasons and little change to the core 3 characters of Zenitsu, Inosuke and Tanjiro, it is a stark contrast and a breath of fresh air to see characters that are able to change in real time, becoming who they want to be. There's something so very special about this adaptation. It's quite similar to Mushoku Tensei Season 1 and the end of Season 2, a series where the studio was made with the sole intention of adapting the source material. In both series, you can tell that every scene, every frame, every soundtrack, and the composition of each shot has been carefully curated to convey meaning and make each moment special. For this reason, Frieren Beyond Journey's End feels like Madhouse has taken up the story and wants to present it as accurately as possible, and you can tell that they truly care and love making it. Now, prior to episode 5, right here, I was going to mention that there's something really special about the animation, but it's not the spectacle of JJK or the special effects masterclass of Ufotable in Fate or Demon Slayer, but you can tell the animators and directors of the anime really care, and they want the show to be amazing. However, This would not be true following the last few episodes of Season 1. The special effects and key animations done by Sorcelot and Verkrig are some of the best I've ever seen. Along with animation director Reiko Nagasawa, the attention to detail is legit insane. Even the way that clothes are animated in scenes where studios just in most shows would cease to care about the physics of the clothes. It adds so much to the immersion and makes the characters and world feel so real. I mean, come on, bro. Look at how many frames of animation I put into a character putting on a jacket, man. I've never seen someone putting on a jacket look this aesthetic ever. The title of this video is not only how I feel about writing the script in terms of my unadulterated enjoyment for the series, but also how I think Madhouse feels about adapting the work. The anime itself feels like a love letter to Frieren, about how they believe in the world, the characters, and bringing it alive to share a story they love with the rest of the world. Even though I've spoken at length about the theme of time and relations persisting through death, with the show appearing at first to be a somewhat slice-of-life adventure series, that isn't entirely true. This anime, being a full-run 28-episode show, has some of the greatest anime fight scenes I've ever seen. It's up there in spectacle with Demon Slayer and Fate, being the cornerstones of superbly animated fight sequences. The fluidity of the animation and how they seem to use a combination of 2D and 3D effects is really reminiscent of Ufotable style, and I'm all for it, whilst they still somehow manage to make the scenes emotional in showing character intention and emotion throughout. If you think that this show is not for you because you're not into slice of life and it's not very action heavy, there's plenty of Sakuga moments with insane feats of strength that you will enjoy, trust me. For all you power scalers out there, you're going to love this one. Frieren's rating on Mal, although controversial, it's one that encapsulates how the series felt for me. Most argue that having it beat out Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood's preposterous, but I disagree. Having seen the initial key visual, I knew that this series was going to be one that I enjoyed, but I didn't realise that the story would cater this much to my likes of the fantasy genre. At this point in time, Frieren is, I think, a generational piece of fiction that will go on to inspire many series in the future, and it's one that all fans of the fantasy genre should watch. To me, this series is peak, not just in terms of how I enjoy it, but there's peak voice acting, peak character design, peak character moments, peak everything. Please watch the series, and Madhouse, thank you so much for allowing us to experience something so spectacular. And I just want to say a special thank you to Kanehito Yamada, the writer of Frieren, for bringing this tale to life. Without her, we wouldn't be here today. Anyway, thanks so much for watching. Don't know if I'll ever upload on this channel again, but if people like this style of content, I might have to for other series that have had a similar impact on me, but let me know in the comments. Otherwise, that's my only video so far on this channel. Might be my only video ever. We might continue. Just let me know, and I'm out. Peace.
あのエルフの魔法使いは何者だ。
受験者名簿によると名はフリーレン。
勇者一行の魔法使いと同じ名だ。